What if I told you the most terrifying place in a house isn't the basement, but the space directly above your head? The place where old memories collect dust, where footsteps shouldn't exist, and where something could be standing in the dark while you sleep. Tonight's story is real, and it still doesn't make sense to me. So before we begin, subscribe to Mr. Knight, because once you hear this, you'll never look at your ceiling the same way again. When I was younger, I was never afraid of the basement. It was the attic that bothered me. Most attics are small and cramped, but ours was wide and tall enough to walk through without bending. That should have made it less scary, but it didn't. The space was broken up by thick wooden beams placed at random angles. The flooring wasn't even. Some boards dipped lower than others. You couldn't stand in one spot and see the entire attic at once. There was always a blind corner, always a shadowed space. My parents rarely went up there. It was just storage, old furniture, boxes of photographs, holiday decorations, the kind of place you forget about until you have to go back. One morning during middle school, I woke up and noticed the bottoms of my feet were filthy. Gray dust covered them, and there was grit between my toes. I hadn't gone outside. I hadn't done anything unusual. I just went to sleep and woke up like that. I washed my feet and didn't think much of it. A few days later, I found a small cardboard box sitting in my room. It was filled with old family photographs. I recognized it immediately. It belonged in the attic. When I asked my mom about it, she assumed I brought it down. I told her I didn't. She didn't seem worried. She just took it back upstairs. Then it happened again. I woke up one morning and there was an old brass lamp sitting on my desk. I had seen that lamp before. It had been buried in the attic for years. I knew for a fact I hadn't carried it downstairs. That's when everything started to connect. The dirty feet, the misplaced objects. I wasn't being pranked. I was sleepwalking. And somehow, every single time, I was going to the attic. My parents weren't overly concerned. They said sleepwalking was normal and that I would grow out of it. But I didn't feel normal. I started dreading bedtime. I would lie awake, fighting sleep, terrified of where I might end up. Every morning became a test. If my feet were clean, I could relax. If they were dirty, I knew I had been up there again, and I never remembered a thing. Then one night, I woke up standing upright in complete darkness. I wasn't in my bed. I wasn't even in my room. I could smell the dry wood and insulation before I understood where I was. I was in the attic. It was pitch black. I couldn't see the beams, the boxes, or the hatch. I had no idea where I was positioned in the maze of wood and uneven flooring. One wrong step and I could fall through the ceiling. I froze. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. That's when the feeling hit me, the unmistakable sensation that I wasn't alone. A soft thud echoed behind me. It sounded like someone shifting their weight on wooden boards. I didn't turn around. I was too afraid to move at all. Then I heard another sound, this time from a different direction. Slow, deliberate, like careful footsteps adjusting in the dark. Tears started running down my face, but I didn't make a sound. I moved forward blindly, hands stretched out, trying to remember where the hatch should be. The darkness felt alive around me. Every small noise made my chest tighten. After what felt like forever, my hand hit the hatch frame. I climbed down and ran to my parents' room, shaking and crying. I told them someone was in the attic. My dad checked. 2 minutes later, he came back down and said there was nothing there. They locked the attic hatch after that, and strangely, the sleepwalking stopped. Years passed. I tried to forget about it. Then one Christmas, my dad sent me up to grab decorations. While searching through boxes, I found something I had never seen before. It was a black document box tucked behind old furniture. It looked older than everything else up there. I opened it out of curiosity. Inside were dozens of handwritten pages, notebooks, loose sheets, even hand-drawn maps. The early entries were normal, daily notes, weather observations, random thoughts. But as I read further, the writing changed. The person became obsessed with the attic. They kept measuring it over and over, comparing its size to the house below. According to their calculations, the attic was smaller than it should have been. There was missing space behind one wall, several feet unaccounted for. The entries described scratching sounds, breathing noises, activity coming from inside the empty space. The final pages weren't even sentences, just rows of tally marks counting something unknown. I showed the box to my dad. He swore it wasn't his father's handwriting. That meant whoever wrote it lived in the house before my grandfather. We went upstairs together. My dad examined the wall described in the pages. Then, without hesitation, he decided to tear it down. Behind the wall was a hidden space. It ran the entire length, and the inside surfaces were covered in black markings, dot symbols, dot lines, shapes that didn't resemble any language. There was no visible entrance, no crawl space opening, no door, just sealed emptiness filled with strange markings. We never found out who wrote the pages. Years later, after my parents moved away, I inherited the house. I live alone now. Every night, I walk in the backyard to smoke. There's a small attic window that overlooks the yard. One night, I glanced up and thought I saw something move behind that window, a shadow shifting. I told myself it was my imagination. The next night, I saw it again, clearer this time, something passing in front of the glass. So I went inside and pulled down the attic ladder. The attic was destroyed, boxes overturned, storage ripped open, and a thick black substance smeared across the walls and ceiling. It looked wet, fresh. I searched the house. No one was there. Then I heard dragging sounds directly above my bedroom, something heavy moving across the attic floor. I grabbed a kitchen knife and went back up. I shouted. I searched every corner. There was no one there, but deep scratch marks had appeared across the beams and wooden boards. I called the police. They searched the attic and found no entry points, no animals, no intruders, nothing. It's been weeks since that night. Nothing else has happened, but I still haven't gone back up there to clean it. 3 different times in my life, 3 different incidents, all connected to the same attic. Maybe there's a logical explanation. Maybe there always is. But some part of me still believes that when I woke up standing in the dark, I wasn't alone. If this story gave you chills, subscribe to Mr. Night right now, because the next time you hear something above your ceiling, you might remember this story, and you might wonder, who else is up there?